In this video, we're going to talk about some recent updates from Polymega regarding the N64. So if you've been following along, I pre-ordered a Polymega a while ago. It still hasn't shipped or anything. They actually are now sold out on the website. They're not selling the bundles anymore. Given production shortages, they decided to halt sales of the bundles. You still can pre-order, I think, the base units and the other modules. They're just not doing the bundles right now until they can ship out their backlog. They're still waiting on some components. Just wanted to do a quick update on that first. And what they're projecting at this point is they're hoping to ship some of the pre-orders in the first half of next year, 2023. So I pre-ordered mine, I believe it was February of this year. So it will be quite a while before I get mine. They're hoping to have most orders shipped out by the end of next year. So hopeful that I will get my unit sometime next year. And to kind of go along with that, one of the big things, in addition to the obviously Sega CD, Sega Genesis support, that I'm really excited about is the N64 support. So they have announced a N64 module. It's not available yet. There was an article put out, which you can hop over and read for yourself, kind of what they're doing. It was over on Nintendo Life, but they are essentially building a module that supports N64, and they recently made some software upgrades to align with that, which means they are making some real progress on that, right? So in addition to their components kind of being delayed because of the chip shortages and everything going on there, they're still moving forward, developing the software, trying to get things ready so that when that module is built, it'll be ready to ship out and to be used. And I kind of want to hop over to the last two app updates that they have put out. So it had been a while since they did a software update, and they actually did two recently. So the first one I want to go through is version 1.1.22. And this is their system update, so this is kind of their OS and their firmware to the system. They added the full N64 game catalog. Not the DD games, but the full library, so that will be domestic and foreign games. They also add, and that's a big thing, right? That means that they are making progress. They're in the testing phases. They've, not to say they've tested every game, but they've done some significant testing with the module, most likely, that they know things are working. So this is a really good sign. In addition to that, they added the Sega Saturn MPEG and BCD card support for game types that feature the MPEG functionality. I kind of covered this in my last video about Polymega, that they were working on this, and this is a big win as well. And then the rest of these are some minor updates, SSP, patch file support, cheat code support for GameShark, Game Genie, and Action Replay, new browser to enhance searching. They also added cache support for CD-based patches. So after patching the first time, all successive plays will apply the patch almost immediately, so long as the media which applied the patch is present, meaning the disk is in the system, pretty much, or it has been installed onto the system. So if you have a patched version, make sure you install the patch version to the drive. If you have a patch version you ran off a CD, but you have a different version installed on the system, and then you remove the disk, obviously it's not going to have the patch applied. So just keep that in mind. They added 240p video output, just still in a beta, but that essentially allows you to get that retro CRT display, scan lines, everything going there, with a 4:3 resolution. They added 720p output, They added 50 megahertz mode. They added the XE1AP controller support for the Genesis and TurboGrafx modules. They added support for USB headsets. The audio will automatically reroute from HDMI. They added the game time played tracker for each game individually. So you can now track how much time was played against each game. They also added a mark as completed option, so that if you want to keep a catalog of how many games you have completed, you can do that now. They also added support for bulk transfers of games from one storage device to another. So this is a big thing. The NVMe drive that is in, if you choose to install one, that's in the Polymega, is locked to that system. And so, if you, especially as they add more modules, I recommend going all out, putting a 2 terabyte NVMe in from the start, so that you have sufficient storage. But if you didn't do that, they added the ability to basically bulk transfer games. So previously, you kind of it was a lot more complicated to do that side of it. So that is really nice that they gave you that option. They added screensavers. The ability to hide recently added on the home screen. The ability to remove individual games from continue playing. And they added a filter pin functionality. Alright, so that was the previous release. Now they recently put out, which was more of a patch fix release, they fixed some things that were identified from users as part of that 1.1.22 release. So on this latest one, they fixed an issue where some patch multi-disc games would not properly transition between discs. They fixed the bug which caused the system to respond slowly when discs were being used. They fixed the bug which caused certain Saturn game save states to stop working in the previous version. Everything should be working as long as you update the save files weren't corrupted or anything. They fixed the bug that prevented crashes from properly recovering in some instances. They fixed the info display issues on the play menu. They fixed the bug that would sometimes result in a system reset while you're trying to view the database. They fixed the automatic display mode functionality that was causing some issues on 120 Hz 4K monitors to lose the signal. They fixed the Gun Griffin, this is the Japanese Saturn game, so the title screen is correctly shown after watching the entirety of the intro movie. There previously was a bug with that. They fixed an issue which resulted in that wavy effect for Lunar Silver Star. Again, Japanese version. And then they also updated so that that same game can be SSP patched. And then they fixed the MPEG playback, which they introduced in the prior release for one Japanese Saturn game. So those are the updates. The big thing I wanted to highlight here is the addition of the full N64 game catalog. That's a big thing. Now, I'm very curious that they indicated N64 disk drive games not included. Does that mean they are going to add N64 DD? And if so, how is the unit going to accept those? So if we head back over and just look at this image, right, we only have the N64 card slot. And we all know that in order to install the games, they have to be on original media. Can't copy them from like a USB thumb drive or anything like that. That's kind of how they handle the licensing of the ROMs. So I'm very interested to see if they will add the disk drive in the future. If so, is it going to be a separate module? Or are they going to adjust this unit to maybe have an additional slot for the disk drive ones? So that'll definitely be interesting to see. Definitely looking forward to that as well. But that's it for this video. Just kind of wanted to cover that. And as always, they keep reiterating, they're trying to ship out items as they become available. That means if you had a pre-order of a deluxe bundle and maybe a gun controller or other controllers, you may get those controllers before you get the system. Just keep that in mind. And just some final thoughts real quick. You know what? Let's head on over to eBay and let's see what Polymegas are currently going for. So the NES module, this is an open box, so these are pre-owned. They're going for about 200. That's actually not too bad. Those individual units were what, $79. So 200, 250, that's not actually too bad. However, when we come down to the systems, be cautious with some of these. That is just the module. That's not the base system. I actually don't see any base. Let's see if there's any base systems on here. Do not see any. Let's check sold listings real quick. Whew. Okay. That base unit sold for $3,000, which I don't think got actually sold. That might have been some simulated bids there. But this one did sell for 1,100, 1,000. So if you're looking at now the one for 1,000, that did include the Genesis module, the Mega module. So take that with a grain of salt, but you're still looking at essentially $1,000 for the base model, where if you can be patient and you had one pre-ordered, the entire deluxe bundle was $699. So that includes, and I know it shows as a discount, but this was never $765. This has always been $699 as far as I remember. But so for $700, you were able to get the complete package. I wouldn't overpay for it right now unless you absolutely need it. Just keep in mind that N64 module's not going to be released until they can get through the chip shortage issues. So if that is one of the key features that you want, I definitely would not be overpaying for a used model at this point in time. But that's it for this video. Drop me a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you have a Polymega. Have you canceled your pre-order? Are you excited for it? Do you think, a lot of people were saying it's a scam, things like that. They have shipped you some units. Obviously, they haven't shipped everything, clearly. It has evolved quite a bit since when it was first announced, which I believe was back in like 2018. So it has been, 4 or 5 years since the initial announcement where we thought everything was going to be FPGA based. Now it's not, but I'm still really excited for it, especially the light gun functionality. Really excited for that. With the, it has PS1 support. So the PS1 support with the light gun, the Saturn with the light gun, everything's kind of there that you need, especially once they get the N64 support officially released. It truly is going to be, an all-in-one system, at least for me. I'm really looking forward to it.